Good evening. It is February 25th, 2019, and I feel a little bit deflated, but and I shall tell you why. I did a video the other day, and unbeknownst to me, as I've looked to switch the video off, it's already gone off. So I didn't have enough, battery life. And let's just make sure I am recording. I didn't have enough battery life, so it died on me. And I haven't had a chance to listen back to it. In-depth video, ran about the hour, and I'm disappointed because yet again, I thought I got in my head a plan that I'll do them more regular, and yet again something has happened. So deflated on that. I'm also deflated because, as you know, I support the West Indies cricket team, the flag, and they're playing England in the Caribbean in the one-day international series. It is 1-1. Best of 5, I suppose, or yeah, it's a 5 series game, 1-1. England at the moment are the number 1 ODI, one-day international favourites and rated, and the West Indies are number 9. So the 1-1 is good news for a team that's been going through some bad patches and in a bit of flux. Well, they're playing today in Grenada, and they should have started playing around about 2 o'clock. Well, cricket is one of those games, if the heavens open up and it starts to rain, you can't play. And at the moment, it's looking like it may not be a game. Now, for those of you who don't know cricket, it is, one side bats and the other side bowls, and then they switch over. And 50 over game, but because the rain's taken time out of what is a one-day game, they start to reduce the overs. And I think the last I heard it's going to be reduced to 30. And the latest time, because of daylight, they could start is 7 o'clock our time. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So I'm a bit deflated there, because I thought, yeah, it's okay. Once it's on, I could get on with what I've got to do, and the rest of it. I'm also disappointed in a few other things as well. And I think, to be quite honest, if it's not the battery, microphone, memory, something's always quite often going on behind the scenes that, deflates me, and I think, what's the point in doing any of this? If it's meant to be, then it will be, and it should be okay. I wasn't born in the Caribbean. My parents were, and my dad was local captain of his cricket team. Got to know my mum basically through cricket. She supported the opposition, and after the romantic story, she slagged him off as he came into bat for the opposition, and somehow started from there. You know what I mean? Boo, hiss, he's the enemy coming out to bat. You know what I mean? And he was what they call skipper, innit? They used to call him Skip. Anyway, what else can I say about cricket? Well, back in the day we had the Tory MP, his name is Norman Tebbit. And he was basically saying people from the Caribbean who are living in England and they want to assimilate, then the cricket test is it. You should be supporting England. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think you could understand why, when the West Indies came to England and played, they'd have so much Caribbean supporting them. which is kind of typical of people who do as they please and never see it from anybody else's point of view. The West Indies is a collection of tiny islands, small islands. Of the English-controlled, Jamaica will be the most populated, around about 2 million people. Trinidad will be next, 1 point something million, and the rest of them are either in hundred thousands or just in the tens of thousands. Okay, so and they're poor nations, so they're pretty much punching above their weight. Yet those collection of islands called the West Indies once ruled the world in cricket. They're number one, and to this date they still hold the record for having the longest run undefeated, and that's one more game than the Great Australian side. And if you can say the Great Australian side, then you better know how dominant and how powerful the West Indies side was at one stage. There's so many great cricketers to talk about, but those of you who don't know cricket doesn't really matter to you. It's boring. Talking about pursuits, which I don't play cricket, but I do play chess. I do like the game of chess, and I'm a little addicted to it. And I suppose you get addicted to something that you like. I mean, from time to time I get addicted to, doing weights and stuff. I haven't done it for a while because studying, reading, and chasing up references on the net and articles, it's kind of sedentary. And if you're studying at a high level, if your life is sweet, then you can have a light work-life balance. And it hasn't been that way for me. It's been very difficult outside of study. But be that as it may, there's been some issues, and I'm going to talk about the issues to do with what some may call pro-blacks, Pan-Africanists, Afrocentrics. It's a hodgepodge of reality and truth, and there is deception and lies. For those who are true to what they believe, let's look at the historian part. You will find that there are historians who have written books that are deliberate red herrings, okay? Or not as well researched as you think, or repeated myths and so forth. And this happens, I think it came about as the COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program in America, where they were essentially looking to rout out and make sure the communists in America didn't actually come to fruition. But they then turned in further on that, and they went into all types of things, the flower power movement, what's going on with the Black Panthers, you know what I mean, the civil rights movement, who's going to be the new Black Messiah, let's disrupt it. Let's get a few of our black agents in there. Let's cause havoc amongst themselves and division. Let's fund, which they do to this very day I believe, in the UK. So I'm going to address that momentarily, but because something else has come up as well, and the whole purpose of me going into further education and just redesigning my life, it's to become a teacher, and perhaps if I am successful in this sojourn, I may upscale it and say to become a lecturer. It depends. It may not materialize. But if it's to be, my Creator will let it be, you know. And if it isn't, he'll show me which direction it is. What he has done is arm me with an education and an understanding of meaning words, how to research, how to reference, and write a book. Got a couple of those sketched out that I would like to get stuck into at some point. So, when the story broke, now this is a story that's was a proposal a few years ago, and I was looking it up today, and this is what the story is. Children as young as 4 are going to be taught compulsorily, right, in schools about transgenderism, homosexuality, things about, you know, online sexting and all of this stuff. Now, it's the most ridiculous thing I know. Because really, I don't think children should be anywhere near a computer. They have no business being on computers anyway. But this was Blair's idea to have all the schools having computers. And of course, Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the internet, he wants it to be a free web, i.e. no restrictions, just, you know, let it be. They call it net neutrality. But some of these big companies, YouTube, Google, Facebook, have been bought out by the controllers, and therefore they don't like certain things being spoken about and all the rest of it. And you have to wonder where all the kind of filth is coming from. I believe it's government. Government's doing it because they want to bring out a law. Every time something, bring out a law. And it always amounts to you losing your freedom of one kind or another. So there's a lot of filth and all kind of stuff on the internet. They might call it radical, they might call it indoctrination, fake news is another one. But there's also a lot of truth, and I think what it is, they don't care about the fake news and that stuff, because I believe governments, Western governments, are putting the filth out there, putting out the fake news, and putting out, you know, anything that, even down to comments in you know, people's comments. You think it's a nutter, but it's usually somebody being paid to do these things, to say these things. You know, we've got this this canard going on every so often. You know, there's been, well, I believe somebody got stabbed again yesterday and the day before. So there's a rise in these stabbings, and a lot of it is black youth with the postcode, gangs and whatever they're doing, and they're making their videos and dissing one another, and a lot of these stabbings are going on. But usually when the public says, oh, what's going on, and there's an outcry, always the Jews come out right then and tell you there's a rise in anti-Semitic attacks. But I did some research in it some time back, and I said, well, yeah, really, who died? No one's ever died. Nobody got beat up. You can't show me anybody. So, doing the research, I realised what they're calling an anti-Semitic attack, and oy vey, and all this stuff, it's if somebody makes a comment on YouTube pertaining to the truth, or about Israel, about what they've done. What they've done now, don't have to invent it, what they've actually done. Then that's considered an anti-Semitic attack. I remember there was a guy who was Jewish who got mugged. Now the guy didn't dress in Jewish garb. He was an old man, or whatever it was, or just a man, and he got mugged. But whoever it was found that it was Jewish. So that was an anti-Semitic attack. It wasn't. It was just somebody who robbed a man. So that goes onto the list. One person may post some comments, have an argument with someone, and every time he says something, each one of those are considered an attack. Okay? And then there are those guys, the Jews themselves, who will go on there and they will just put these nasty stuff out. And they'll say, oh, look, we need protection, we need money, we need funding. But they're doing it themselves, you know. The old trope of spray painting swastikas on. We know about the girl in the college in California, one of them places in America. She got caught on camera doing it herself, and it's not the first time that's happened, right? Always making these fantastical, just lying, you know. And it's such a small percentage, but this is what it is. Now, it's quite possible they'll say, what I'm saying is an anti-Semitic attack. So you cannot speak the truth at all with these people. Because they don't like it, it becomes an anti-Semitic attack. The joke of it is they're not Semites. The true term is Hamito-Semitic. And it was a Jewish professor who changed the whole dynamics of the term. In fact, they started to use that term in the late 1800s. I don't want to get lost in that, but I've done my research on it, and it is what it is, you know. I'm not looking to have a fight with them over what it is. You know, it's just one of those things. I've done the work on it, and you know, the less said, the better. Because they really do moan and groan. The lady does protest too much. I think one of these days, if they haven't done it already, the dam is going to burst and people are just not going to have this. You know, it's just not going to have any more of it. But, you know, it's been prophesized. They've been warned and they've been told, and they still do the same thing. So anyway, what it is, all that ramble was about internet and people saying stuff, and they've come up with this idea now that they're going to mandate that children be taught the safety of the net and so forth, and transgender and gay sex and so forth, whatever. And to be quite honest, and you know, they've got this thing called female genital mutilation. They know nothing about what it is, but they're calling it female genital mutilation. Know nothing about why it's done. But they go to poor African countries and they promise maybe some woman, we can take it to England, live up this, we can give you a flat, blah, 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 but just say this, read this script. Oh, it was terrible for me, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. Now, you can't get the truth about anything from a female. Why? Because they don't do history. They just don't, right? And if they do, they're spoon-fed something. They're not independently, maybe one or two, you know what I mean? But you'll see a lot of these, say for instance, and it's usually, they point the finger at Muslims, but, you know, a lot of people do it. And they point the finger at Africa, but, you know. I'm not going to explain why it's done. Not right now. I'm not going to explain right. I may have done it on another video, but I'm not going to explain it right now. But I'll go into it again. But it's middle-class white women seem to be running this bandwagon as if they know what it is. They call it female genital mutilation. I find it an insult, poking your nose in what you don't know. But at a later date, I think I might even address it in my dissertation. And you know, I don't really want to tell these people what it's really about, you know. But they got no right to be bringing in laws again, you know, bringing in laws. I think they arrested a woman because she either carried out female circumcision the other day, but that's because they've been banging on and banging on. They don't care about black women or girls. They really don't. But they do understand the woman's psyche. And I have begun to understand the woman's psyche. The biological reality. And we see the expression of the female all the time. And the feminists and their their concocted history of the male and female relationship, I would argue on any part of the world, is quite frankly a pack of lies. And I think it needs to be said. I mean, of course, in the PC world, the leftist PC world, they don't like you saying lies or untruths. They really don't. Because they don't believe in an absolute. And if you say someone's a liar, that's an absolute, which is almost akin to agreeing and believing the Rosenblatt fella. There was the Rosenblatts. This two Jewish couple concocted a story about they was in Auschwitz and they met on the opposite side, and somebody, there's this great romantic story, they're in Auschwitz and all that, and they went on Oprah Winfrey and they did all this stuff, and it turns out it was another concocted lie, They actually spoke to the Rosenblatt fella and said, well, what you said was a pack of lies. Well, to me, it was true. In my mind, I believed it to be true. You lied, and you still won't say, yeah, well, sorry, you know what I mean? What it was. No, it was true. But no, everything you said was a lie. But to my mind, I believed it. And this is the social constructionism, where anybody's perception, you have to agree with. So it feeds into transgenderism. I feel like I'm female, so I'm a female. Then I'm not quite sure what I am. I'm questioning. I mean, I've actually got that. I mean, we're in a place right now where it's so ridiculous and so obviously stupid. And I'm using the word stupid because it is. So when I get these lecturers who are, critiquing my work, and I'm like, well, what are you basing your work on? Theories. Theories. Nothing definite. Theories. But they want to give you the impression that what they're saying has a basis of truth. So within their social constructionist concept of there are no absolutes, I have to ask, are you absolutely sure? If there are no absolutes, no absolute truth, then you cannot tell me that there are no absolute truths, because that's circular reasoning. But at university, I'm looking around, all the girls, because in education, dominated by females. That's why they can get this nonsense approved, right? They can get this nonsense approved because it's dominated by females. Females are guided by illogical emotion. It's just emotional. They just cannot think that hard enough. They're being over-promoted for positions they are not going to be the best option for the job, etc. Now, that doesn't mean I hate women. I'm thinking I'm protecting them because you're putting them in obvious harm's way because they cannot do the job. They're not as logical. It's that simple. So, I'm outraged. But there was a protest, and there was at one of the schools, at the deputy head or head, who happened to be a male, but you got a lot of these males who are effeminate. If you're a homosexual, you can teach, You can teach, but if you're a black man, they don't like a black man with intelligence. And they hate you if you are intelligent, but you don't want to be on the left. You don't want to be a Marxist. You don't want to repeat. Just repeat. And I don't repeat. I actually do the work, and I say, well, hang on a minute, let me critically think what you're saying. I can't believe that anybody would want to be a Marxist. And I think I know why, because when I quote to them what Marx is, that, tumbleweeds roll past, and they're frozen. And I'm like, well, if you've read the Communist Manifesto, it says we want to abolish morals. We want to abolish morals. Well, do you know what I mean? It's just, I think those kind of things piss me off, because We've gone for the Enlightenment, we've gone for the Reformation, we've gone for the Industrial Revolution, and we've gone for the Enlightenment. And what these people have done, ever since the 60s, I think, they started to get on control over the universities and colleges and, of course, the schools, and sexual revolution, battle of the sexes, man must fight against woman. And it's been disastrous. It's absolutely disastrous, to the point where you got kids killing kids on the street. It's not just over here, you go in America. I mean, there's so many single mothers out there, and they've got these boys, and they don't know how to raise them, apart from being emotional. And the guys are so emotional, and then they're told at the same time that they're kings and queens and emperors, and they were kings and queens in Egypt and all that nonsense. So if you do have an argument with somebody else, in their mind, you're dissing the king. You have to die. You've got to die. You can't diss the king. Whatever it is. And then they start to one branch of the gun. Let's get out here. Anyway, be that as it may. That's a bit of a ramble. I am going to put this video up because sometimes when you don't want to do something, you have to look at yourself and look at your body language to see if you, in future, you're not in the mood and you're called to do it. Do you sound deflated? Are you making sense? Are you rambling? And at the moment, that's what I wish to do. I wish to use these videos to find out how well I come across. Anyway, in the last video that I didn't post because I don't know which part it cut off, and usually when I do a video, I like to sign off and just say, yeah, well, that's that, and see you next time. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself. I am iCubian Organis. And pardon me for the pregnant pauses and the arms, and you know what it means. It's colloquialism. It is what it is. And what I wanted to talk about, and what I did talk about, was something I was re-listening to online. Now, I listen to a lot of people online. Some of the people I listen online have interesting and educational, thought-provoking, some of them funny, YouTube channels. And I listen to a lot of debates. A lot of debates. But many different areas. Many different things. And I listen to a lot of lectures pertaining to my area. But then again, I'm kind of like a polymath. Now, what's a polymath? Good at numbers? No, it just means you have knowledge on various subjects and not just the cursory. I'm not going to say I've got a degree in this, that and the other, but I've got a fairly decent library. One shelf over there, 1, 2, 3 shelves in that book cabinet. That in the main is to do with creationism, evolution, intelligence. That one, education. That one, antebellum South, Civil War, race, if you will. This one will be feminism at the top, bit of a race, and what's the other thing? Miscellaneous. I'll have to put this one as miscellaneous, and in there, which is pretty much, well, it's anyway, it is what it is. I've got a fetish with books, and if it's a subject that I am fascinated with, I want that book, and I want to read it. I want to know what's in it. I want to find those hidden gems. I suppose, like an archaeologist, if you know the site, you want to dig for it, because you can find clues to history and put it together. And if you can put it together and give a good timeline, then you have an understanding. You've got a narrative. You don't have to be biased about it. And this is why I do the research, because some of these guys that get heralded, or some of these guys that you hear, they got a bit of knowledge, but for some reason they say some stupid stuff that they cannot prove. What was the thing I was looking up again? I did some research into